And that little girl was me. And that little girl was me. And that little girl was me. And that little girl was me.
Well, happy Hot Topic Tuesday. Welcome to Truth to Power Uncut. How you doing, Identity Professor and Wendell King? What's going on, y'all?
I'm good, Dr. Matthews. How are you? How was your weekend?
My weekend was productive, as well as today, as a matter of fact.
All right.
Yes. Well, I just have to brag on the accountability portion, guys.
Okay.
We had a couple of constituents that reached out to me on a situation that was in Northeast Houston where they had a lot of looting where me and Wendell grew up, and they had a lot of looting and a lot of other extra activity that was going on in one of these, shall I say, vacant storefronts. Mm-hmm. And so I got hold to Senator Miles, and Senator Miles corrected in days. So it is gated all the way around. So it's not going to be no sex outside, no public defecations and all of that good stuff. So shout out to Senator Miles for taking care of that.
All right, Boris. How are you, Wendell?
Shout out, Boris.
Wait.
Good. I'm still stuck on that opening because that little girl was her. Yeah, we're going to get to that later, but I'm good. Like, today was extremely productive. Even before, it was extremely productive. So I should have known that God was setting my day up for a great ending.
Won't he do it?
Just like he said he would.
Hey.
So, Identity Professor, what you had going on today?
Yeah. Listen, sis has got a date, honey, for this good old pre-defense and things. So we're moving forward. I got to get into some meetings and meet with some people, and put my agenda training and all of that stuff that I do in Houston out. So I'm blessed. I'm super excited about what's about to happen.
God is so good.
Yeah.
We got to love Dr. M.
Well, I definitely couldn't wait to discuss this on our Hot Topic Tuesday dealing with P-Valley.
Oh, my.
I was telling y'all about this show. This P-Valley is something serious. So at first, I didn't think that I was going to like it because I was saying to myself that this is probably going to be one of these old ratchet, I'm a stripper, I'm going to try to make it out of the hood, but I'm still strip. No, it's some whole other stuff. I think Power got some competition. So did y'all watch it?
I finally watched it. I did take the time to watch it. At first, I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this here. But then as the show progressed and I started ignoring the terrible accents, the very terrible Southern accents, Then I started, looking at Mercedes and the relationship that she has with her mom, and this religious kind of dynamic when it comes to sexuality and, all the different avenues that women can take and sometimes choose to sustain themselves economically. And so, I was like, okay, this is cool. And I love Uncle Clifford.
He's really right. I love Uncle Clifford. I love
Uncle Clifford. Oh, yeah. What is that face?
Mercedes is my favorite.
Yeah, I like Mercedes.
I love on problematic whore. So Mercedes is definitely my favorite. Autumn has grown on me.
Mm-hmm.
I think Uncle Cliff is going to grow on me because I don't dislike him. It's just that it's a lot for me to unpack because of stereotypes that love to be tagged to Black gay men. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a lot for me to unpack there, but he's growing on me. And I'm learning to not blame him, but blame the writers and the producers, Hollywood, Atlanta, the places that love to just give us one Black gay man to
wait
the whole community.
But wait a minute, what about Lil Murda then?
Because I was about to say, so you consider Uncle Cliff to be a gay male? Because they always refer to him as she, and so I thought.
Well, first off, at the point that y'all call him Uncle Cliff, that's just. In the real world of the LGBTQ community, if you identify as a woman, I'm not calling you uncle. That's disrespectful.
Because you got Miss Marjorie over in California, honey, and so she moves in and out of masculine and feminine.
But my thing is that it's a lot to unpack because they still continue from reality shows to television to Broadway. They give us one type of Black gay male. Mm-hmm. And now they've introduced the second, which is the down low brother. So it's like it keeps telling us that those are the only two options. And the reality is, just like every other sector, we are multifaceted. We have many colors, and each color deserves its own conversation. So stop urging us.
Okay, well, what was your opinion on the young lady that was the last episode who got arrested, and she confessed that she cheated on her husband with his mama?
Oh, you talking about the girl that was at the strip joint that got too drunk and got pulled off?
Yeah.
I thought she could really sing. Gotta say that I really liked her voice.
Yes.
But I thought that that was just funny. It was just. I thought it was good fun. It was good fun. I didn't really
say his mama then.
I think that unpacks a lot for the Black community as far as Black church, and as far as white church, what white church taught Black church. Because what she did was completely insanely wrong. And one would say that Mercedes went too far by putting her hands on her mother. But when you're trying to change your life to get your child back, and you have saved every penny doing something that you would consider a menace for, and your mother that is a Christian that you trusted uses your money for her own benefit, you'll go upside that head too.
But then she turned around, and the cold part about it, she got the actual property that she wanted. Trying to get.
Absolutely.
Oh, that is just so happened. I don't think that was intentional.
Nah.
Yeah, that was intentional because she told her where she wanted. She let her know what the location was.
Oh, she did. I guess I missed that part.
Yeah,
the realtor didn't know. The realtor didn't know.
No, the realtor didn't know, but the mom knew.
See,
and the mom knew that girl was trying to save up and trying to, do something different.
Tap.
Yeah, and she knew that, that was her last night and she was getting out of the stripping game. So you did that on purpose. But then my thing with Mercedes is, you knew your mama wasn't in the beginning.
Yeah.
So why would you even let her hold your money?
Well, that's what she's
your mama. Been doing that.
But
her mother isn't trustworthy. Like we know that.
That's true. When it's your parent or loved one, you can sometimes be foolish. Just like in any relationship, love can manipulate you.
But I think she wanted that relationship. But see, she wanted a better relationship with her mother. That's why she would go to church. That's why, she felt like whatever her mom needed, that she would be there for until Mama had her own hidden agenda, like they do in a lot of the African American churches. Yeah. Where she was upset was, so I can't be in the pulpit. Oh, okay.
But that was a lot to unpack also, because that was a truth. That was true in that moment, because the man used her, and so she used her to hurt people. So it was just a domino effect, because she was a victim in that moment. She was a victim.
Yeah, the mother was a victim, temporarily. I give her that, but again, she was with her old shady, shade tree pastor, and like you couldn't. I wouldn't have trusted his word at all. And the whole situation about how she can't be in a pulpit, like that's an old story in the Black church, especially in the deep South. Women are just now getting into leadership positions, but I still just can't excuse her mother's behavior. When the whole scene in the jail, and she was like, "Oh, you went and had a dealer's card in my name, and you had lights and all of this stuff in my name. You
know
tax? I'm not giving you my money, mother or no mother.
Yeah,
I done committed murder. You took $20,000 from me.
Yeah,
and now I don't have anything to show for it, and I'm trying to get my daughter back. Like that's a problem.
Yeah,
and I feel like that. Just like that whole one-dimensional gay character, I'm tired of this one-dimensional mother character. Like
I agree.
Like I'm over the angry Black woman, the sinister Black woman, the untrustworthy Black woman, the overzealous, over the top. Yeah, like I'm over that. But
see what she really wanted to do, y'all, was that she really wanted to try to get her daughter back. By having some type of stable income, by not having the type of stuff that she's doing. And then what I also noticed about Mercedes was that she slept with a married man, and then his wife ended up taking the child and keeping the child.
And the man is dead. Yeah,
he dead. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that was an interesting dynamic.
But I want to know more about the backstory on that, though. I'm curious to know, because they haven't really delved into that. They just kind of introduced it. But I'm interested in knowing, like, what was it that really happened? Like, how old was Mercedes, number one, when she had the little girl? Because the little girl is now like 15, 16 years old.
Right.
So I'm curious to know, was this like a child molestation type of thing? Was this like a predator, like a pedophile? Like, I want to know more about it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And my thing is Uncle Clifford. I really want to know the real story as far as how he came to be as well. You know what I mean? And then the other young lady, Autumn Haley, per se,
a lot going on.
She came from Houston. Her child died. They kind of left us with a lot of cliffhangers with that. And then now, your husband who showed up, and
but
then
who are you sending the money to?
The money.
But who is she
how you getting this $9,000? Like that's
she's doing some type of money laundering, and then also the reason why she's only taking $9,000 because if you go more than $9,000, then that's when the feds come in.
Yeah, but I'm saying, where's the money coming from?
It's coming from some kind of account that I think that husband had.
The husband didn't give me. He was coined. I don't know.
That's how he tracked her though, because he was able to see that money was being taken from that account. So maybe it must be something that they kind of coerced together.
But then they said something about Katrina and accounts, and so it's a lot of unanswered questions. All right. Yeah. Well, listen, so we talked about, trauma, and we talked about, these one-dimensional characters or whatever coming out of reality or Hollywood. But in Chicago, there is actually this video that is surfacing the internet right now where a young brother was walking out of the store with two friends, and he was filmed being attacked by another man. Who it looks like he attacked him because the young brother was effeminate, allegedly homosexual. What do y'all have y'all seen that video?
Yes, and I think it was horrid to me because it's like, you have no right to put your hand on somebody just because of the way how they choose to live their lifestyle. I think that is just completely unacceptable. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, I watched it like 10 times, and number one, it's beyond you don't have a right to put your hands on somebody because of the lifestyle they live. Because he was a complete stranger, you don't know what lifestyle he lives. So that's the first thing. But the second thing is, it's none of your damn business what lifestyle he lives, and how dare anybody feel like they have the right to put their hands on anyone. But it goes beyond putting your hands on someone. We live in a world where we give people the right to speak on things that is none of their business, and it becomes okay. So what we see, especially with black men, black hetero men, you see oppressed now becoming the oppressor. because they find bodies of people that they feel they are above, and they become the oppressor. And so that's what I saw in that video. I saw a weak little Negro that felt like he found somebody that may be weaker than him, and he took advantage of the situation.
Bullying.
He should go, no, that was beyond bullying. He needs to go to jail. That was a hate crime. Like, that wasn't bullying, that was a hate crime. At the point that you hit me because I'm existing in a way that you don't understand or you don't agree with, that is a hate crime. Bullying is the kid that took my lunch money, right? Bullying is not attacking me because of what you think my sexuality is.
Yeah.
So then, what was your opinion as far as with the young ladies who he was with, and they didn't do nothing about it?
They're not his friends.
Because I'm gonna tell you like this,
Male, whatever.
I'm gonna tell you like this: if that was my friend, baby, I would have pulled out that heat, or somebody would have got windmilled or something. And I'm just being 100 because you're not gonna do that to somebody that's supposed to be my friend and think you're gonna hit them in my presence. I don't think so. That's not the North Side Code, baby. We don't work like that. No,
Together, baby.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also a matter of identity. I think we don't talk about identity enough in America, right? And so it's a matter of whether or not you can see yourself in a space and someone different in that space, and they occupy that space without you feeling threatened. And so and I also think, that young brother, whoever it was that was filming, he instigated the situation because he also. And the young brother that was
got windmilled on too.
Yeah, it's like he was set up, and so I think at some point in time we need to have a conversation about how we can show up in spaces and be able to navigate spaces with people that we don't necessarily agree with how they show up.
Identity is so important. You really hit it out the park for me with the identities entrance, right? Because the reality is, and I think that people in the LGBTQ community are guilty of this also. We have to be better guardians of our brand. We have to be. We have to be better guardians of our brand, because at the point that we sexualize ourselves, we can't be so surprised when people sexualize us. At the point that we act like barbarians, then we can't be surprised when people expect us to act like barbarians. So I think that we have to be very careful of how we exist. I don't think that that's around. I don't think everyone is the same, but I think that it is so important that we overwhelm people with a narrative that we want them to have, because that's how you educate the masses, is through media. So at the point that you're using your media as a platform for good to really educate people and to have those courageous conversations that other people are afraid of, right? Those conversations that when you talk to your cousin that is ignorant, but he loves you, and you say, well, what is your problem with gay people? Let's talk about this. But instead, we just walk away and say, that's my cousin, he crazy. No, baby, because he won't do to you what he'll do to me.
Well, see, I'm going to tell you like this. My adopted son is gay, okay? And if that would have been my adopted son that you would have ran up on, and then I may add, he's not black. He white on top of that, right? So if you would have ran up on my adopted son that's gay, and then also is white, or anybody that's in that type of umbrella, and you rolling with me and my entourage, I'm telling you now, you about to get shot or you about to get windmilled. Point blank, simple, period, because that is unacceptable, and you have no right to do that to anybody, period. And those women were not his damn friends. I wouldn't be a bit more surprised if they didn't set him up themselves.
I don't think so. I think that you have to know that everybody isn't about that life, right? I don't know what type of girls these were. They may not have been fighters. They may have been afraid for their lives. They may have been thinking, what if they shoot? So it's a lot that it's easy to say what you would do if you were in a situation when you're not in the situation. Because Dr. Matthews, I know for a fact, we've had this conversation before. You'll say you would have did this, you would have did that, but the reality is you also know how to use the law on your side.
Of course.
So you may would have popped off, but you also would have been saying, call this number. We about to deal with this, right? But they may not have had a number to call. They may have been thinking, let's just make out of here. So, I don't know. They were young, so I don't even know how old they were.
I don't know, because a lot of the young females that I'm just talking just in general, is that they would have been windmilling up and down. And
My homegirls would have been twirling out.
exactly like, baby, and the type of females that I know, they don't mind swinging on the dude. And so if you turn around doing that, you know, in their presence, and then they wouldn't turn around and call their brothers, cousins, or whoever else, it would have been a whole murder scene up there.
But it would have been.
I mean, so Wendell said something earlier, and I just wanted to kind of backtrack a little bit. You know, I don't know if it's necessarily like LGBTQ people plus people branding how they present themselves in the world, because they don't own media sources. Like media represents them, Hollywood represents them, the news, all of these mediated sources represent them, right? So there's a stereotype. I don't, you know, and I don't do respectability politics at all. So however that young brother decided to show up, that's his business and that's his right. And nobody had a right to violate him because he wanted to show up that way. I also think that I do agree with Wendell when it comes to how the LGBTQ community has to pick a struggle. Like either you're going to fight with yourselves or you're going to fight for yourselves, because there are a lot of people there are people in the community that take that same mentality that man used against that brother whom he hit, that they use against Black trans women, right? And so we don't want to have that kind of conversation, because LGBTQ plus whatever people, they treat trans women, Black trans women, like the lepers. And so that is a conversation.
That's a whole other conversation. I know we're running out of time.
Because
we're running out of time on that, but I will say that I don't think that young man did anything wrong in that moment. When I said about branding, I wasn't talking about him. I was talking about the way we brand ourselves daily with the everyday man and woman walking along the streets with us, because that's how we shape how they view us. So I'm talking about the person that will hear their brother call people punks and fags and say nothing about it, as long as they're not calling them a punk and a fag. I'm saying that person needs to control, because everything big starts small. So we have to start having these small conversations if we want to broaden the span. Now, as far as the trans women, that's a whole nother conversation. We can get into that at another time. But what I will say is I have yet to see a video of a trans woman just existing, coming out of a store that gets attacked. Gay bashing has been happening since the 70s, and it got real bad in the 80s. We've lost many gay men to gay bashing, where they have been targeted just because they are existing as a gay man.
And women have been targeted just because they've been existing.
I think you and I see it differently, because I have over 100 transsexual experienced women that I am very close to. And what I will tell you is that a lot of their experiences are very different than the gay man that is just existing. And I'm not saying they deserve it. I'm saying that it's a different experience. That young man had was a barbaric experience for just existing. He didn't know them. He didn't talk to them. He wasn't trying to talk to them. He was minding his own business, and he snuck him. There is a difference if you want to date me and you find out that I'm something, you love me, but you can't deal with it psychologically and you want to hurt me. That's horrible, but that's a different experience, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I think that's a very limited view of that experience, though. Like, like Black trans women, can't exist. Like, there are ones they can't.
I agree with you, but I'm saying that's a different experience.
Lesbians can't exist. Black women can't exist.
But I think each one of those experiences are different, is what I'm saying. Like, I get what you're saying, but those experiences are different. What propels them and what provokes them are different. So I'm saying that I think that that's another conversation. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm ultimately saying. I agree with you, but I think it's another conversation.
To unpack more.
Yeah, because it's a lot to unpack. That could be a whole show.
Right.
Trans experience is a whole show.
Yeah,
I don't know too much about that
the whole experience thing, but we need to go on to the next topic.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Umar Johnson, y'all. Can you roll that video?
Joining us right now, Dr. Umar Johnson. Welcome back to the show. First and foremost, it was amazing looking at this whole reaction. I mean, I'm sitting here, again, people asking all kind of questions, things are blowing up. And so many people jumped on saying he's not a real doctor, okay? Where did you graduate from and you got your PhD?
My undergraduate education was from Millersville University, 3 degrees, political science.
Kind of chopped up. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Excuse the technical difficulties, y'all. He gonna replay it for us again, cause this is some stuff to unpack right here. Cause see, I kind of take this to heart right here, for real. I take a little bit personal.
Joining us right now, Dr. Umar Johnson. Welcome back to the show. First and foremost, it was amazing looking at this whole reaction. I mean, I'm sitting here, again, people asking all kind of questions, things are blowing up. And so many people jumped on saying he's not a real doctor, okay? Where did you graduate from and you got your PhD?
My undergraduate education was from Millersville University. 3 degrees, political science, psychology, master's in school psychology. Subsequent to that, Pennsylvania certification as a school psychologist, which I've been for almost 20 years. After that, I got my educational leadership master's degree and principal certificate from Lehigh University in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And I earned my doctorate degree from the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, American Psychological Association approved program, one of the top psychology training programs on the East Coast. 6 degrees in all. And anyone can lift up a telephone and call and verify those degrees.
So when you see folks who question your degrees, your response?
It's because my narrative is a whole lot different from the average mainstream black scholar. I don't parrot the narrative that the American social order wants black scholars to parrot.
Okay.
Go ahead, because this Negro here.
Viewers, let me go and explain something to y'all. For those of you that are not in the collegiate realm, okay, let me explain something to you. Nobody can call your university to ask to verify your college degree. Let's get that clear, okay? Because on your transcript, it states the Third Party Act, which means that will be in violation if I have to call your school to ask them for your degree. Your school cannot release that information. What they do, they release it when you request your transcript and that it is sealed, okay? And then you can, in turn, give your transcript to an employer, okay? So, he lying.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally correct. Like, even if you want to transfer to another university, or you need your transcript sent to another university from the institute where you went to school, you still have to put in the request. The school, U of H, cannot call TSU and request Wendell King's transcript. Wendell King has to put in a request for TSU to send a transcript to U of H. It has to have his permission because that is private information.
But then you got some universities that don't do it like that either. Because like what they would do, they will want you to give them a sealed transcript. So
you graduate though. They tell you hurry up and get a lot of sealed transcripts.
Yes.
Put them up.
Yeah, because what
you come up.
Because and y'all already know, like if we want to transfer to another school, right? You have to have your official transcript because a lot of them don't. They don't really go as far as having you to sign a release to send it because the school is not comfortable of doing that. They will turn around and give it directly to you. That's what I had to experience. They give
request a transcript and you have sent to whoever,
and
but you still have to
walk it in to college admissions, but it has to be sealed.
But that wasn't even my problem with it, though. I want to be very, very.
That was one problem.
Well, of course, I know he's lying. First, I knew he was lying when he was calling certificates. Calling a certificate a degree. He just said that he had 4 degrees and 2 certificates, and at the end said 6 degrees. So I was like, okay, girl, we done. But
he was talking about his principal certificate.
Well, no, he called out all of them. I counted each of them. But that wasn't the biggest part for me. The biggest part was when he tried to throw a slug at black academics. And he tried to say that the reason people challenge his education is because he doesn't think the same way most academians think. And that is completely incorrect. The problem is that he utilizes his supposed education as credibility to spew ignorance. And that is where the real issue lies. He's no more than Farrakhan saying he has a doctoral degree.
Well, this one here, see, what else had me with that interview? Which we don't have video for it, but when you look further into that interview, what got me, you over here saying that you are a descendant of Frederick Douglass. You know damn well you ain't kin to Frederick Douglass ass because his family called your ass out. Then number two, I'm really still on this doctoral deal because last I checked, I work hard for my shit. Okay, excuse my language, y'all. I'm sorry, but I worked hard. And the thing is that for you to use a diploma mill to try to make it like you what's up, and then for people that can call to verify your school, you's lying. You know nobody can't call and verify no school. Well, maybe he didn't know.
Well, here's what I'm gonna say about Umar, right? And so first of all, I've been blocked from all of his pages because I didn't call his ass out from okay. So the other thing about him is that, you know, he is a charlatan. He sells snake oil. Like, you have been feeding, you know, a good portion of Black America lies for a long time now. We haven't seen a school yet, Umar. We haven't seen a business plan yet, Umar. We don't see accounting practices with the money that you have collected from poor Black folks, Umar.
That school that's supposed to be in a.
That's what I'm saying. You know, like you did this false video, you going into the school, this building saying you got the keys. But there's no verifiable anything. You know what I mean? It's like Umar Johnson is a person who talks really fast and he uses language against people who don't necessarily know what he's saying and they're looking for hope. So to me, he's no different than a pimp or a preacher that's feeding off of the community that he knows needs his help. Like, I have a problem with Umar Johnson. I have a problem with him in the country stripper. I got a problem with him. And first of all, his name ain't Umar. His name is Daryl Schumacher. Let's talk about that.
Boom.
When you Google Daryl Schumacher, then somebody else comes up that looks very, very similar to the person that we call Umar Johnson. So we don't even know who this man is, first and foremost. And then he has some other name that he calls himself too.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, like, I smell fraudulent activities. First of all, dude, you know, dog. What? No, he don't know, because if he would have known that, he wouldn't have said that. So clearly, people who actually went to school, we know that. Okay.
Yeah, and what is this? Because I'm going to look this up. The Philadelphia College of Osteopathy.
You know, I was trying to look it up too. I was trying to look up to see their accreditation. I did find them, but I did not find their accreditation to be high. He said they were one of the #1 schools on the East Coast. And what I saw, they were not even in the second Peel. Peel start at 50. So I was like, okay.
And
Well, maybe it's,
you know.
I don't know.
Yeah, are you a clinical psychologist? Because, you know, I can see if you got a PhD in clinical psychology, but most psychologists come out with a Psych D. So why do you have a PhD? That's a doctorate in philosophy.
And I was going to say clinical or organizational. Those are the two most popular doctoral degrees for psychologists and psychiatrists, clinical and organizational. So I was like, But the other thing that always makes me leery, I'm always leery of people that always have to lead with their education. Like, you have to lead with your degree. You lead. That always makes me feel like, what are you hiding? What is real and what is fake about you? Because the world I live in and the people I surround myself with, we don't have to battle with education, because we are aware that we are all well educated. So
we know Umar likes battles, honey, because he gets on YouTube and he wants to do these these debates, right? These battle debates with all of these people, like, you know, all the other conscious woke whatever these people are, you know. So then he got on, you know, the one video where, you know, about his GoFundMe. So he challenging another brother about how much money you got on your GoFundMe. So I mean, is this a rap concert, or is this, you know, about uplifting the community, or is this about the strippers that you're hiding, or is it about the life that you're leading, Umar? Because in another video, he accidentally showed us his living situation, and he's a hoarder. Like, he had clothes and trash is thrown all over the place. So I mean, he's a charlatan, is what he is. So stop listening to him and cancel him immediately. Y'all want to cancel people, cancel him.
I'm telling you, like,
he's pathetic.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he full of it. I'm telling you, right when I heard that right there, that just took me over the edge, because I was like, you know what? Roland Martin, get me on that show so I can wear him out. I want to wear him.
You need to keep looking because Roland wore him out because he didn't eventually.
I'm not talking about Roland. I'm talking about me. I want to wear him out.
I got you, child.
He's pathetic. He's really pathetic. I'm just really over this whole. I'm tired of the oppressed becoming the oppressor. I'm tired of people feeling as though they are now in a place where they can cast judgment. I'm tired of people using their Black power to try and belittle other Black people. I'm tired of what I don't understand. I say is bad. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of it. And they go to those respectability politics. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, but I think for me, it's more so, like he's dangerous. Like, and before, people get into the comments and be like, oh, they bashing gay, Black people, Black folks is bad. No, like, first of all, he is a danger to the Black community. And anybody, that's a danger to the Black community, that's counterintuitive to what I'm trying to do and what my people are trying to do. Like, you have to go. And all your kinfolk, your skinfolk ain't your kinfolk. And he's not one of my kinfolk.
I'm
Like,
gonna
Make sure y'all share, guys. If y'all are enjoying the conversation, make sure you share, and like, and go to YouTube and subscribe. I just wanted to get that out because I forgot to say it earlier.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna say it like this. Yeah, I'm more or less like this. Who sent you? That's what I'm looking at. Who sent you? Number one. Number two, I'm still on because that's why I got high blood pressure now. Okay, from this damn doctoral work. Okay, and I had to do blood, sweat, and tears to get that bad boy. Okay, and my thing is, I refuse to let somebody make a mockery of what I had to work hard for.
Yeah.
Just because you want your diploma meal or whatever you had going on, I'm gonna need you to stop.
Yeah, and he may actually have it. I don't know. He may have gotten one from some unaccredited source. I don't know. But what I am going to say is, if you have it or if you don't, that does not give you the power to go around casting judgment on things that you don't agree with or you don't understand repeatedly. It doesn't give you the power or the ability to tell everybody that they are bad if they don't think the way you think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just feel like Umar Johnson is, he's over. I think after this conversation, we don't need to bring that Negro up again. I think he needs to be canceled immediately. And I think that, he's also an individual that...
And he's not easy on the eyes, so it's going to be easy to forget.
You know what?
Yeah, but beyond this, even, being that, like, I mean, he is hazardous. Like, he sells, Black mothers, single mothers, these dreams. You know what I mean? He sells the Black community's dreams. You're collecting resumes and information from people. People are really believing in you. They're sending you their hard-earned money. Like, that's problematic for me. And he still exists because he's an individual that's doing more harm than good.
Yeah, I agree.
They need to be exposed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
well, listen, so talking about dangerous Black folks and doing more harm than good. So there's a situation that's going on right now in Chicago. I said Chicago earlier. That's not what I meant to say about the gay bashing video. But there's a situation that's going on now in Chicago where there's looting, or what they're calling looting, and we need to discuss whether they're looting and protesting, because from what I understand, a Black man was shot by the police, but the story is conflicted. So one side is saying that the police are saying that the young man had a gun and he went to shoot at the police, and then the other side is saying that he did not. He had a gun, but he wasn't trying to aim or shoot at the police, and so. Let's have a conversation about that.
DPD became aware of several social media posts encouraging looting downtown. This was not an organized protest. Rather, this was an incident of pure criminality. This was an act of violence against our police officers and against our city. As of now, Chicago police have made more than 100 arrests for looting, disorderly conduct, battery against police, among other charges. In one incident last night, officers were arresting a looting suspect at Michigan Avenue and Lake Street. As officers were making the arrest, another vehicle passed by the officers and fired shots at the officers as their vehicle turned the corner, resulting in an exchange of gunfire between our officers and these suspects.
We are waking up in shock this morning. In the early morning hours of today, dozens of individuals came to our Loop, Mag Mile, River North, and Gold Coast neighborhoods, as well as our commercial district around North and Clybourne. These individuals engaged in what can only be described as brazen and extensive criminal looting and destruction. And to be clear, this had nothing to do with legitimate, protected First Amendment expression.
So what do y'all think? What do you say, Wendell? You're shaking your head.
I'm just disgusted with moments like this. Everything is so convoluted. The sad part is even when you have to say, we have to see if it's protesting or looting, right? It's sad when we are in a moment that is so important to us as a people and we are being seen, but we're still showing up at times showing the wrong thing. This story I'm still a little weird about because I don't know all of the facts yet. I'm still getting different stories. So on one end, if the boy shot at the police officer and the police officer shot back and killed him, I think he was within his right. But if the boy did not shoot at the police officer and the police officer shot him, then I think there are questions. But I think you still can't just go out and go crazy because the reality is he did have a weapon, and he has a background in this area. So it's just, we can't use every excuse to go out and act a damn fool, is what I'm saying.
So is it just, acting a damn fool? Because, there is a lot of this happening, right? There's a lot of police killings. There's a lot of killings happening. Mm-hmm. There's this economic deprivation that's happening in Chicago, right? And so you have these people who have been living basically in poverty and impoverished conditions, and they don't really have an outlet to deal with that. The educational system is falling apart. And so people are angry and upset. And so if they go out and they decide to riot or loot or whatever it is that you're calling it protesting, then they're having this very visceral response to something that continues to happen. Do we then, judge them for having that kind of response?
I do. I'm sorry. I think that responsibility and accountability is needed even when it looks like you. So I think that we can't give out passes because we have economic deprivation in every major state. We have economic deprivation in most cities. So if everyone was reacting the same way, it would be World War III. I think that we have to call a thing a thing. And the reality is every person that goes out at night when it's a protest, that didn't go out for the protest. Some of them went out because they knew it was an opportunity to do something like that. And so I get what you're saying. I do agree that we have to answer. We need the United States government to answer for a lot of things. I get it. But that does not give a person the right to use these opportunities that are so important for a selfish need to go and rob and steal because you are not fighting for the fight. You're fighting to build your own wealth, however that may look to you. So I think it's important to understand the difference.
Yeah, but I think that always happens, though. In any situation where you can get away with something and you're an opportunist, you're going to see the opportunity, you're going to seize it. Right. And so, you know what I mean? So I think that when we're having these conversations, that we need to make these distinctions between the people that are out there protesting and actually, injustices, and then the people that are actually seizing opportunities.
Yeah, but that wasn't a protest.
Regardless.
Right, to me, that wasn't a protest. I agree with the mayor. I agree with the chief of police. That was not a protest. That was not one sign on one picture I've seen yet where they had picket signs screaming, "We shall overcome." They specifically went out for that moment to act a fool. I do agree that this stuff comes from somewhere. I agree, and we can debate where all the different places it comes from because it feels good to talk about it. But the reality is, if that was your store that your black ass worked hard for, and you had just got over the George Floyd tear up, and you got built up again, only for them to come through again and do it, you would not see it the same way. at some point we have to ask ourselves, are we hurting our fight or are we actually fighting?
I think the conversation, you know what I mean, I think it's very general right now. I don't do a lot of generalization because I don't know who started it and what was the motive, who did that, right? So I don't know that, and I don't know everybody's intention and motivation with going out there. I do know that there was some people who could have very well been fighting injustice. I do know that there's some people that went out there because they saw an opportunity, and for me, I am not going to be upset with folks because they see an opportunity in a capitalistic system and they start stealing back. Like America, that's how we were founded. We stole. So how do you expect people's behaviors to be different than the thing that you have made the standard? Like, that doesn't even make sense to me.
But I agree. Well, first of all, we have somebody said that's not looting, that's crazy and getting their way, using it as an advantage. I agree with that. Obviously, I did too because I agree. But what I do want to make sure that you understand, Aurelia, what I'm saying is, and what the audience understands, I am in no way saying that this was hocus pocus. This was just magical and it came from nowhere. What I'm saying is that I understand that it came from somewhere, but that doesn't take away the fact that it is mixing up the fight. So when we say that we're going to deal with something, we have to deal with it even when it's uncomfortable for us. Mm-hmm. So it's uncomfortable sometimes to say, brother, you were wrong. Mm-hmm. That was another way of doing that, and you just set us back. And I think Chicago, New Orleans, and a few other places have continuously set us back. Everybody can use for the excuse economic deprivation. That's not I'm from the hood.
Yeah, that's not it. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that, first of all, we have to always go back to identity. We have to deal with identity. We're always saying we collectively. We're the only people in this country that are always taking accountability and responsibility for people that look like this. I don't live in Chicago. I wasn't there. I don't know the boy that got shot. I don't know the police officer that shot him. I don't know any of these people. So it wasn't me that was involved in the situation. It was a group of people that were there that decided to make a decision, and they made the decision that they felt like they were going to make. There were people that were there for good reasons. There were people that were there for not good reasons. There were people that were there for opportunities. And that's what I'm saying. And so I think for us, when we have this collective when it comes to Black folks, yes, hold them accountable. Yes, hold them responsible. But at the same time, we also have to look at this thing that we use as this collective identity and psyche that everybody may not even be participating in.
Right. But again, I still say go back to accountability, responsibility. I think that is so important. I always tell people, go into every environment with respect, walk away from it with responsibility. You have to hold each other accountable. I am not, because giving them excuses is going to help this keep happening. So I don't want
anybody an excuse.
I want them to understand that you are not helping us right now. But need more information. Why we ain't acting a fool over Breonna? A woman who was laying in her bed that they already had the person in custody, and somehow her boyfriend came out shooting, but he didn't get shot one time, but she was in her bedroom and got filled up with 7 bullets and dead. That is a fight. Mm-hmm. But a boy that could or could not have been shooting at the police because he was selling drugs and he was busted and he had a weapon on him. That means let's wait a couple of days.
And see how they handle that situation.
Exactly.
I'm not saying. Listen, if you shoot at the police, I don't give a damn what color you are. You shoot at the police, you should get shot back. Period.
But I do want to know that.
I know. But what I'm saying is, I'm not going to justify any person shooting at the police and they have guns and they don't have the right to shoot back. They want to go home to their families too. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, when it comes to looting and rioting and how we depict these things in the media, we always want to lump everybody together. I don't know if these were detractors. I don't know if these were people that were antagonists. I don't know what I don't know any of those things. So I'm not going to lump all these folks together, especially in a moment like this where we have this momentum with all of these various movements in the country about injustice. I'm not going to do that either. But it's not even a matter of excuse. It's just a matter of, why do we always have to deal with this collective psyche and identity in America and then hold each other accountable when it may not even be a we thing.
But I think that's kind of unfair. I think that's kind of unfair at a certain point also, because we are in a moment of racial division again. So it is going to be a conversation. It is going to be connected. Think about the 1969 Madison Avenue Chicago riot. In 1969, that was straight up blacks versus whites. When the police came, they were on the white people's side, obviously. Or look at the new documentary that just came out on HBO about Al Sharpton when he did the March Over the Bridge in 35 years ago. And they were throwing watermelons at these black people. So what I'm saying is that it's hard to take race out of something that is racially driven, racially gassed, racially charged.
I'm not saying take race out of it either, but okay, so if we look at the 1991 riots, right, in LA, right? So, Rodney King. Those are riots or those are protests?
But those were protests that became riots. But that's normal. I'm not fighting with that. What I'm saying is that we had more proof on that. With this situation, we don't know.
They just jumping the horn.
Yeah.
Horn, not knowing all the facts.
I can't be upset with those folks for jumping the horn when this continues to happen.
But jump the horn, being mad and protesting, not jump the horn to go run
I am one of those individuals. I'm going to be different from y'all. I'm one of those individuals that I believe that at this point, America's not going to give black folks nothing that they don't take. Period.
But let me tell you something. As long as
they got a bonus, that's what they
I'm
have
going to tell you like this. As long as we are 12.7% of this population, so if we're 12.7 out of 100%, we're 12.7. If you want to go to war with the 73% and it really go down like you want it to go down, we will be back in slavery. We have to figure out a way to actually live in orchestra together. We have to be in concert.
I'm not saying that.
At the point that you jump, at the point that we say that this is okay to act like this if you are mad, we have to be aware that they will do the same thing. And they're going to outnumber us. They're going to have more weaponry, and they have the government on their side.
I'm not talking about a war at all.
But we have to figure out a way to be in concert, is what I'm saying.
And there are people in concert with black folks right now, so it wouldn't be the 12.6% that you're talking about.
Yeah, but it ain't going to be in concert. But we won't be in concert if we keep saying that this time. We have to say a thing a thing. You have to call a thing a thing.
You do have to call a thing a thing. And I'm saying in this country, if we needed to burn this son of a bitch down, then that's what we would need to do. And I'm not saying it would be the 12.6% that would have to do it by themselves. Like, we're not the only one
situation. You don't have everything. I don't think it needs to be with this specific situation. I think an organized protest should have been in place first. You know what I mean? And then if you didn't get in the act right, then you go to the next level. That was my opinion as far as on this issue. Because again, now when you dealt with the George Floyd situation, 8 minutes, we seen that right off the rip. It had every reason to go to protesting and also taking it to the next level. But when you have this situation here, you got a dope dealer, you shooting at the cops, we got all this stuff going on. So my thing is, we need to see how this stuff needs to be handled first before you start tearing shit up. But
I think we need to be really careful about that narrative too. Just because he was a dope dealer don't mean, you know what I mean?
I don't think that he heard it. I agree with you on that.
You know what I mean? That could be a fact. I mean, but that doesn't negate the fact that the police shot him. Like, if he was shooting at the police, you were brandishing a weapon in some type of threatening manner, and the police felt like that he was justifiable in shooting you, okay. But the fact that he had a gun on him and that he was a dope dealer or a known dope dealer, that doesn't negate.
But that means you need more. But that's why I said that you need more information before you load up that night. They loaded up the night of. They literally loaded up the night of.
I get it.
And that we didn't load up the night of George Floyd, and we saw him with the knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 26 seconds. We didn't load up that night, though. We still made sure that we had more information. We were organized, it was prepared. I just think that it looks a mess to me, and I'm tired of it. Like I put on Facebook, and I meant it. When is enough Chicago? Like, this is not a new story in Chicago. Like, this is not, and I'm not even talking about police and black people. I'm talking about black people and black people, Mexicans and Mexicans. It started with Italians acting a fool in Chicago. Like, I'm just saying that When is enough
My
to
thing,
work the whole city?
don't tell nothing up until you get all the details and know what's happening.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Because I need to know now. If you sat over here and shot this man in cold blood, then yeah, we about to have a problem.
Yeah, I'm always ready to fight with somebody. I'm always ready to jump on the bandwagon to fight, but I always have to ask questions like, well, what happened? Well, why?
What?
When did it happen? Wait, we got Critical on here. Critical says we can't keep putting ourselves in these situations and wanting others to put their lives and freedom on the line. Come on, Critical. Critical. Come on, Critical. I agree. Come on. Yeah. But I think that we all are saying the same thing. We're just what Candace is saying is that they should have waited till they had more information. What you are saying is that if it was what it was, then it should go down the way it went down. And I agree with you, but it's if it was what it was.
Right, that's what I said. If it was what it was, then it should have went down.
But can we transition real fast?
This whole organization, I get it. I mean, everybody in the movement has their ministry, and everybody has, right. That, and I get that. And I revolutionary. But yeah, I'm in the fight, baby.
But everybody, I'm like the identity.
I get tired of singing Kumbaya.
Everybody has a position in the fight. Everybody has their expertise. Yeah. In the fight. You got some that work behind the scenes. You got some that's in your face. You got some that like to tear shit up. So it's all
everybody needed.
Everybody
right information.
They was out there.
It's really people who have the right information. Don't run up on nobody without the details because you're gonna look a fool in the end. Like if they come out next week with video of that boy shooting at that police officer. Everybody who went running through the city, burning it up, gonna look like some idiots. Because y'all have done all of this is all outdoors. But let's transition to why. Because we got to talk about wet ass. We got to talk about PUS capital C. So, ladies, I have two black queens on here. So I want to start off by just finding out, what do y'all think about that wet ass PUS capital C?
I love it. I think it's no different from anything else that has come out of Millie Jackson's mouth or anything that has come out of the blues tradition, or Bessie Smith or Ma Rainey. I think the language that we're using is different, right? But I think that it's the same message. It's about, women being able to own their sexuality and their desire and their pleasure. And it is not at the behest of a man. Like, they can do it for themselves. I think the response and the backlash is absolutely ridiculous, because whenever a black woman stands up and she wants to take ownership and empower her vagina and what she does with it, then all of a sudden she has to be a whore, or she has to be a freak, or she has to be something else derogatory because you aren't in the position to control her sexuality.
Come on. Like, girl, if I was by you, girl, I'll push you. Come on.
I think.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this. First of all, in jail, I ain't gonna even lie. In jail, no, that's one. Okay. Number two, I think that we have a lot of our young children that are listening to this also, and I think that as parents, we need to make sure that we educate our children as to the do's and don'ts when it comes to this specific situation, because you may have some young girls not knowing that this is just a little image to make some coins, but then you taking it and probably taking it to a whole nother level with it. You know what I mean? So that's why I think as adults and as parents and as responsible adults that we need to make sure that we educate our youth as far as to, hey, this song jam, but I need you to understand the do's and the don'ts, though, because I got teenagers. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I got older girls. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I want to make sure that, hey, this is the jam, but this ain't what we doing, though.
Yeah. My mom didn't let me look at scary movies till I was 10. So my thing is, if you feel like it's too much for your child, don't let your child listen to it. Number one. But I agree with both of you. Well, we're in a world where technology says you can't even control what they listen to.
Right.
So I think both are completely right.
You
I mean,
just need to be open with your kids.
Yeah.
That's my thing is because see, my mom, I'm gonna tell you something. My mom was like that with me and my sister growing up. So like when I ended up going to college and things like that, that's why I wasn't really like with how the other fast girls were. You know what I'm saying? Because you turn around and try to hide things from your kids, and then when they do get it, when they not in your eyesight, then it's a whole different ball game.
Right.
That you need to be open with your kids.
But that's why I'm riding with Aurelia even more so though, because why are we acting like this is something new? Like, why are we acting like I was just jamming Lil Boosie in Herman Park yesterday, and he damn sure wasn't talking about the Lord. Like, why is this now? This everything is bathed in misogyny. Like everything, the entire social contract that we live under is bathed in misogyny.
Okay.
I see so many thugs. Like all I've been seeing is thugs, like thug rappers, former football players coming out saying this is not a good song. This is that. But what are you jamming? What are you listening to when you're with your partners? Like this is ridiculous that women are once again being placed in a bubble, being told that if you move too far to the left, too far to the right, the bubble will burst. So your only job is to stay still and allow the bubble to exist. And if you bust the bubble, you have broken the rules.
And it's also about being able to control a woman's orgasm. Like you have no right to orgasm. Like orgasm. However, which way she decides to get it, that's how she gets it.
Come on, macaroni in the pie.
We on the podcast. Listen, I ain't gonna put all my business out in the street because I walk with a wop, honey. And I ain't got no problem with that I have. And I teach my daughter about her WAP, and I teach my son about how he need to get a WAP and take care of it, and when it's a WAP and when it's a mouth. So we have those courageous conversations. I think the other thing is like outside of wanting to control a woman's orgasm, especially for men who are not able to give women orgasms, right? Very comprehensive conversation about sex and sexuality in this country, and abstinence is not it. These kids are going to have sex. We had sex. They're going to engage in sexual activity. And we have to be very honest about that. Like you have to teach your kids about their bodies. You have to teach your kids about desire. You have to teach their kids about pleasure. You have to teach your kids about the dangers of it, but you don't pathologize, sexual.
Yeah.
You can't do that
because if you don't teach your kids a pimp wheel. You don't teach your kids a pimp wheel.
Exactly.
I'm being 100 about that because see, like with my kids, right? My kids will be able to listen to this, and I'm gonna be right there when they listening to it, versus them listening to it and doing what a pimp tell them to do. You understand what I'm saying? So my thing is that I don't want to have it to where my kids that I'm just so much hiding things from them, and then when they're not in my eyesight, they loose as gooses.
You can help them navigate.
You can help them navigate. But that's what we're supposed to do.
But mama like to get it.
I be popping it.
I think that misogyny, sexism, this whole notion of what a woman is supposed to be, how she is supposed to act, those things are days of, we have learned. Like we're no longer listening to songs like it's getting cold outside and not being pissed off that, wait a minute, did he say he gonna get her drunk so that he can sleep with her? We're no longer in that place. And I think that male America is pissed off about it because they don't want the education to drop. They don't want women to realize that what's between your legs is actually magic. It's actually powerful because you can do something that a man can never do, and that is carry the world in your womb. So I think that there is just so much to go with that. Gerald said something I did want to talk about before we transition to the last segment, but Gerald said it's not up anymore, but I remember a little bit of it. He said the radio doesn't care what it plays as long as it pays. Most stations don't give a damn, but we have to stop entertaining the BS music. I think that there's a lot of music that's BS music, but we entertain it. I mean, I'm sorry.
It's entertainment. That's what it is. And so we have to have a conversation with our children about what is real and what is not real, who you are, who you come from, what you can become. Like they're not just strippers. They're not, and I ain't saying anything is wrong with a stripper because a stripper is a hustler. And all strippers are not sex to make their money. Let's be very clear about that, right? So if a female or a male is in a situation to where they can hustle themselves up out of something and they know game, and then they can transfer that skill into another situation, then that's good for them. But you have to teach your kids what's real and what's not. And the thing about, this whole thing, because T.I. pissed me off about that whole comment when he made with his daughter about her virginity, right? Yeah. This is also about men trying to control the sexual desires and activities of their daughters because they want them to grow up to be a certain kind of woman. They want them to be domestic. They want them to be docile. They want them to be subservient, and they want them to be submissive, right? And so that is not, when you get a woman, that a wild woman rising, you don't know what to do with her because she is not living out your narrative, and you're not able to control her.
Yeah, it's fear. But I know we have to transition, but the thing that really sparked me the most was the fact that the same men that was talking noise about this song said nothing about there are some hoes in this house that went platinum in the mid-90s. That was literally
Home Players Club.
Right. So what these women did, if people really look at things correctly, strategically, and intellectually, they took a song that was supposed to demean them, and they use it as an empowerment moment. So, hey, and then they talked about getting married, baby. They said, you got the power.
They said they got to cook and some more other stuff.
She got to cook and clean, and she still got that ring. But let's move to another powerful, black, educated, HBCU grad,
D9 member,
9 repped, island, Indian, Jamaican, and all that and above, my girl, your girl, next Vice President of the United States and your 2024 candidate and soon to be President of the United States, Kamala, not Kamala, Harris. Let's talk about that.
Come on, let's talk about Debbie. I'm so, you know what? I think this is a moment. I think this is a moment for people of color. I think this is a moment for women. I think it's a moment for women of color. I think it's a moment for graduates of HBCUs. I think it's a moment for marginalized people and for those children that have marginalized people to say, man, I can be that. I can do that. I can become that. And I think that not only did Biden revive his campaign, but I think that he has given himself a leg up, so to speak, because I think Kamala is going to get on stage and maybe she's going to talk that good talk that she needs to talk. He can't do because
let's put a pin in there because I think we should show what kind of fire we're talking about. So let's look at this and then we can go to Dr. Matthews.
Ms. Williamson, thank you very much.
Vice President Biden, we're going to get to you. Hang on, we're going to get to
stage. I would like to speak on the issue of race. So, on the issue of race, I couldn't agree more that this is an issue that is still not being talked about truthfully and honestly. There is not a black man I know, be he a relative, a friend, or a coworker, who has not been the subject of some form of profiling or discrimination. Growing up, my sister and I had to deal with the neighbor who told us her parents couldn't play with us because we were black. And I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden. I do not believe you are a racist. And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of 2 United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me. So I will tell you that on this subject, it cannot be an intellectual debate among Democrats. We have to take it seriously. We have to act swiftly. As Attorney General of California, I was very proud to put in place a requirement that all my special agents would wear body cameras and keep those cameras on.
You know what? That's what accountability, responsibility looks like. She made sure he knew, I don't think you're racist before we get into that. I don't think you are a bad person, but you must answer for what you did. You'll be friends.
Yeah, and she laid that on the line right then and there, just like a true AKA. That's how we rock.
Girl. But
I love
I'm gonna let y'all have your day and your moment.
But I'm telling you, this is a moment like I'm serious because first of all, we the first at everything. That's no.
Are you really?
Okay, we the first in everything. Now we're gonna be the first, having the first African American vice president and soon to be president. Baby, it can't get no better than that. I'm sorry, it cannot.
Listen, I'll do a ski sweep for y'all. Like, you know what I mean? We will. You know, we're going to get into the D line. We're going to put all our business on the street. We do that when we go backstage. But today is about Senator Harris. Her being picked as the vice president running mate with Joe Biden. And I think that this is a pivotal moment, but I also think that we need to be very conscious of what we now need to ask for. Right? She has to be held accountable. He has to be held accountable. Like, this is not just some moment, a feel-good moment for us to, get up with emotionality. This is also like, what is your agenda? What are you going to ask this administration for? How are you going to hold them accountable and responsible for what they're doing in office?
I agree.
And this, it ain't just the presidential race.
Yes.
It's the Senate. It's the House. It's your local elections.
Yes. That's what counts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're dealing with both chambers.
You're dealing with a whole bunch of things right now. So
City government, city politics.
But you're on fire right now to really educate yourselves about this ballot come November. But
vote all the way on
yeah,
that.
I feel like one of the most difficult parts of that clip for me was the mere fact that she had to do like Black women have to do all the time. She had to fight to be seen in a conversation that was about her. Like, that was so telling. She literally had to butt in, call the moderators out, and force them to allow her to speak on something that she was the only one that actually had experience on the stage of dealing with. So I think that I do agree. I'm all about accountability and responsibility. I was just telling someone yesterday, actually, on Facebook, that accountability and responsibility can be damaging if it's not balanced and fair also.
Correct.
When you're dealing with politics. So one thing that I encourage all of my Black and brown and yellow and whatever, white girls, anybody, before you start attacking and holding Biden and Kamala responsible for healing the last 400 years of terror, we have to hold the person in the White House accountable. Because we're in a place of normalizing things, right? So we don't hold Trump accountable, but we hold the person that's running for the office accountable. Well, guess what? Trump is the one that can actually do it now. We're hoping that they get in to do it. So all they will tell us what they will do if they have the chance.
I'm just curious.
He's carrying out his agenda. He's doing it now.
But you know what, though? I'm just curious to see what's his name got up since now this information has leaked. Kanye. I'm just curious to see what you got going on. And I'm also curious to see as far as with Trump as well, because this then throw the whole kind of curveball in your election, pretty much. So,
well, that's what Trump believed, that this was detrimental. Like, him picking Harris is negative. It's going to have a negative impact on his campaign, and therefore actually help Trump when it comes to November in the numbers. And I don't necessarily see that. I don't.
No matter who was chosen, it was going to be a negative. Like, no matter who was chosen, there's nobody on this earth that can run for anything that ain't no dirt gonna come out of, right?
Right.
But the best part about Kamala is that she just went through the biggest vetting running for president. So anything we hear now will just be, oh, we heard that last year. What we're going to hear now from Trump, which is what we already started hearing if you've been watching his Twitter, is that he's going to just use the fact that she checked Biden on stage, because that's the first thing he tweeted out. But don't forget, she's also, in the last year and a half, she's had more bipartisan bills to pass than any senator has had in the history of the United States government. So what she has is an appeal on both sides of the aisle, and that's what everyone likes about her. Somebody said, baby, she did that speak and stand your ground. Don't let them run you. Don't let them run over you. Fight for our rights. I love that. My whole thing, I went on a slew of posts today because Kamala told y'all what was on the ballot. So I was making sure people knew what was on the ballot. I can talk forever on Kamala. So I want y'all to talk because I've been talking about it for the last year.
You actually called this.
Yeah.
Like, I remember in conversation numerous of times that Wendell stated that it would be the perfect time for Biden to pick her. I really wanted him to pick Sheila Jackson Lee, which both of my sorrows, first of all. But either one would have been the best pick. Yeah, now see, by you calling that may come.
I put on Facebook December the 16th, and my friend inboxed me tonight about it. I put a picture on December the 16th. It was a picture of Kamala and Joe Biden. And I put the dream team, and I posted it on December the 16th. If I tell you, this was just something that I felt in my bones, and I feel in my bones they're going to win, but I know we have to do the work.
Yes.
And I'm like with Aurelia with this though. We have to make sure that our agenda is effectively communicated because they need to, I'm talking about the Black agenda. They need to know that it's going to be effectively communicated and that we're going to hold them accountable to this. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we can have anybody going in that White House, but we got to make sure that they're going to be all the way for our people, because we can like them all day long, but we got to make sure you do what you say and you mean what you say.
And we also have to realize, be very honest, that she's not above reproach. Like, she's going to be critiqued, like Obama was critiqued. She's going to be critiqued, and especially, come she's the first everything vice president, she's going to be critiqued heavily, as is Joe Biden. And we've been saying all day, but we have to have our stuff together. Like, you need to be on commissions, advisory boards. You need to be at school board meetings, whatever it is that you need to do. You need to get with your civic associations and all of these folks, because you need to know what it is that you need for your neighborhood. You need to know what it is that you need for your community, what it is that you need for your for your industry. Like, you need to have that ready. And it's not a matter of, we just going to put all of this on the Black woman's shoulders because she needs help. And again, she's the vice president, so she really don't have a lot of
But don't you think, well, this is just one of my things I put on Facebook today also, that we can talk about all of the critiques later. Mm-hmm. Right now, we need to work on catapulting them into the office, because we get so caught up on this black on black crime as far as our mouths and just saying any damn thing and just fussing no matter what and just, all of that. We get so caught up on that we hurt ourselves. Mm-hmm. Critiques are needed, right? They are needed, but you got to be careful, because there is a person that is independent that doesn't really know who they want to vote for, and they're listening to you. So if you're spending all your time bashing Kamala and Joe Biden and saying nothing about Donald Trump, you left them with no other option but to either stay at home or vote for Donald Trump. So we have to be careful with that, because you hear a lot of that, especially with Black women. She's already been told by white men that she was too ambitious. So I think that Black people should be the number one supporters. I think the other piece of that is we have to stop expecting our government officials to only care about the Black agenda. I looked at that interview with the Latinx woman and Joe Biden last week, and it was very specific on how Latin America feels like Joe Biden is putting all of his effort into Black America and not Latinx. But then Black people are saying he's not doing enough. Now somebody lied. Somebody lied.
I think my whole deal is this. I think that all of these actual race organizations, they need to have their actual agenda, and they need to hold them accountable to it, because at the end of the day, you need all of these votes in order for you to get in there. So, but I can't speak for Latinx because I'm not Latinx. Right. So I can only speak for me. Now, Esmeralda, y'all need to get y'all together. I'm just saying.
And I think it needs to be intersectional. Not only do I think that Black folks need to get together, those that, have the
I think
consciousness
it
to do
needs to
so.
be a collaboration.
Yes, and I think then women need to get together, and women of color need to get together, and then Latinx women need to get together. Like there has to be some type of want. Like you got to go in wanting something. You got to go in with some demands, and you can't just wait for folks to do things for you. Like that's not what government. They're so far removed from what actual life is.
And that's why we end up with the type of stuff that we end up with, because
Exactly.
we don't set the stuff already from the jump, and then once they get, that's even with the local elections. When we don't set the stuff from the jump, they'll turn around and they'll get right on up in there, and they're gonna do their own agenda.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to be on top of this.
So we know what we got to do, and we know that we have to hold, because nobody is above reproach.
Nobody.
So we know that we have to hold people hold their ass to the fire, but don't burn them, because we need them to get in the office. Remember, people, all they can do is tell us what they hope they can do. At the end of the day, they don't know, because they are not there yet. So we want to thank everybody. Make sure y'all are sharing. Tonight was very, very compact, but impactful, I hope.
It was. We got a little tense there, Coach.
We covered a lot.
Yeah.
We done covered from
Came up quite
everything about the culture, baby. Everything about the culture. We did PUS capital C Valley. Hey, last week's top fan was Constance Jones and Real Bonner.
Oh, well, first of all, Constance Jones is a state officer with the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats.
Oh, that's what's up. Well, what's up, Constance? Hit me up. Y'all need me to come do a seminar, a workshop? Hit me up. WendellKing.com, baby. Hit me up, WendellKing.com. But
Farrah Bowden is a precinct chair in Fort Bend.
okay. And then we have Tessa and Gerald.
That's her people. That's critical.
So make sure y'all tune in this Thursday. We have the one and only comedian educator of 25 years, Miss Jennifer Germany. And I promise you that interview is going to make you laugh, but it is also going to touch your heart in a very unusual way. So that is going to be Thursday at 7 p.m. And ladies, as always, I have enjoyed this conversation.
Been amazing, yo.
Baby, I love bringing this out, because baby, y'all make me bring this out, honey.
And you make me bring this out.
Well, I ain't brought nothing out today but myself.
Hey, we gonna end up getting some Truth to Power Shade fans, y'all. We gonna start selling these.
Yes.
Well, guys, as always, share. And Dr. Matthews, I know you have something for us.
You know what? I sure do. Okay, hold fast to dreams. For if dreams die, life is broken winged bird that cannot fly. Langston Hughes. And I repeat once again, hold fast to dreams. For if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Langston Hughes.
Well, as always, y'all, if you are not if you're not speaking truth to power, you are not really fighting the power. Professor, any last words?
Hey, y'all better get out here and get registered to vote, because non-vote for Trump is a vote for Trump. So stop playing around. Don't vote.
And
get in our inboxes. We can get you signed up, baby.
And with that said, good night. Share, and share alike. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Subscribe.
We'll see y'all next week.
In that order.